President Trump is calling on all Republican governors to redistrict immediately to make up for the fake census Democrats rigged. Elon Musk exposes the Democrat Party for the evil institution they have become. Chicago just had their prayers answered as President Trump announces he's going into Chicago with force, and the White House issues a major correction about the 600,000 Chinese students comment President Trump erroneously made. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. There's a lot of big stories. Let's jump right in. President Trump has canceled the extra year of Secret Service protection that Joe Biden quietly granted to former Vice President Kamala Harris before leaving office. Now, by law, a former vice president only receives 6 months of protection after leaving his or her duty, which Harris would have ended in July 21st of 2025. However, Biden secretly extended that coverage by an additional year. There's no reasoning why or no clear agenda or objective. Some say it may have had to do with the fact that she was a person of color and a woman, but I guess we will never know. Either way, President Trump stated in a letter, "You are hereby authorized to discontinue any security-related procedures authorized by executive memorandum and remove the Secret Service detail of former Vice President Kamala Harris." Now, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this? It's a pretty big deal. I believe that she will end up being okay, but some are saying that this is President Trump being petty and mean, when in reality, it's him following the law. Now, President Trump has floated the idea of a Republican National Convention before the 2026 midterms. He wants to ensure that he keeps the majority in the Senate as well as in the House of Representatives. Here's what he said: "The Republican Party is doing really well. Millions of people have joined us in our quest to make America great again. We won every aspect of the presidential election, and based on the great success we are having, are poised to win big in the midterms. We have raised far more money than the Democrats and are having a great time fixing all the country-destroying mistakes made by the Biden administration and watching the USA heal and prosper. The results are incredible, a record pace. In light of that, I am thinking of recommending a national convention to the Republican Party prior to the midterm. It's never been done before. Stay tuned." So national conventions are normally reserved for presidential election years. Like last year, the RNC took place in Milwaukee and the DNC in Chicago, where candidates were officially nominated. Well, this was right when President Trump was shot in the ear. And he is saying, in order to fire people up, we got to get going. Now, the GOP has already done much more than I expected. And this is because President Trump is demonstrating real leadership and showing Republicans how to fight using the exact same tactics that Democrats have used against us for decades. So I told you earlier this week how Texas approved 5 new congressional seats for Republicans. Then Steve Bannon of the War Room publicly declared it's time to go for 20 seats. President Trump has called for all Republican governors to immediately take action. And already we are seeing that the state of Florida has put out an announcement that they will be doing redistricting before the 2026 midterms, where they believe that they will be able to pick up an additional 4 to 5 House seats in the state of Florida, where under the census, we were robbed of seats. Isn't that interesting that the Democrats rigged that information by overstating people in some states and understating in others? Now, President Trump, trying to avoid being impeached or becoming a lame duck president for his final 2 years, he's saying, let's get going. Oh, yeah. And on top of that, Missouri also announced that they will be holding a special session in order to redraw the districting areas. They believe they will be able to deliver several Republican seats to the House. So this is a huge, huge story, and wanted to make sure to share that with you guys because we need that majority in order for the MAGA agenda to continue to move forward. All right, now many families in Chicago are happy tonight. In fact, some are saying that their prayers have literally been answered. We've gotten word from the White House that President Trump and his team are planning to go in with force to Chicago. President Trump will be surging hundreds of Department of Homeland Security agents into Chicago to ramp up mass deportation. They're also planning on using a nearby Navy base for DHS and ICE operations. And if necessary, he will deploy the National Guard in order to crack down on crime. Now, this is huge. This is absolutely huge because Chicago routinely has somewhere between 20 to 50 murders every single weekend. Sadly, a decent percentage of those are children. So they're going to be teaming up with law enforcement to get the illegal immigrants out of the area. This will make rent more affordable. Groceries will be better. Less car accidents, less resources going to illegal immigrants' children's that are inside of Chicago school systems. This is absolutely massive, and I applaud President Trump for having the courage to do what is right. Many in South Chicago are literally begging for President Trump, please, please send in the National Guard. Well, he's going to start with ICE and DHS, but he said, hey, I've got the National Guard under my authority waiting in the wings. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this? I think it's great. Only criminals and Democrat leaders want crime. Remember that. Now, speaking of the presidency, God forbid anything should happen to President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance was asked if he was ready to step in should something happen. He pointed out that he's already got 200 days of on-the-job experience and also experience being a senator. In an interview with USA Today, J.D. Vance acknowledged, yes, things can always happen, but emphasized his confidence in President Trump's health and stamina. He praised the 79-year-old's incredible energy, saying that Trump consistently outworks younger staff by being the last one to bed and the first one to wake up. Now, we heard this same bull crap from the White House when Joe Biden was serving. The difference is they blocked the media, cameras weren't allowed, and they usually put a lid on the day by noon, 2 or 4 o'clock. Well, President Trump has cameras on him nearly all day long, even into the evening. So everybody knows that this guy is working harder than anyone else. Now, the White House recently disclosed that Trump does have chronic venous insufficiency, which is causing mild leg swelling. Also, many have wondered about the bruising on his hand. The White House doctor said it's because he shakes everybody's hand, and I've got him on aspirin to avoid blood clots, heart failure, or systemic illness. So that's what is going on over there. All right, now, earlier this week, I reported how President Trump said he'll be allowing 600,000 new Chinese students to the United States to attend top universities. Many right-leaning conservatives went crazy. I read your comments. Many of you were frustrated. Well, now the White House has clarified President Trump's comments by saying that right now there are close to 300,000 Chinese students with approval to be here for 2 years. 2 times 300,000 is 600,000. This is how President Trump came up with that number. Now, President Trump mentioned casually that he wasn't about to revoke a bunch of visas while he's in the middle of the biggest tariff negotiation in the world. So I just wanted to clarify that. There are not 600,000 new students coming. It doesn't mean that that number will be high 2 years from now, but he's using this as he negotiates his largest trade deal ever. All right, now, I know most of you that follow me have had your eyes open to the fact that Dr. Anthony Fauci is an evil and wicked person. Well, now a new story has come out, one that is absolutely, I guess, I don't know what else to call it. It's like the weirdest thing ever. I'm going to put this up on the screen right now so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. So Dr. Anthony Fauci approved American taxpayer dollars from NIH to a grant where these scientists were literally trying to create transgender monkeys. They were injecting them with large doses of hormones as well as mRNA vaccines in the hopes of making these monkeys transgender. Now, my first question is, why did Dr. Fauci approve this? This is so weird. Like, why do we need to turn monkeys into trans monkeys? And why on earth do scientists believe that mRNA technology would help them achieve this goal of making trans monkeys? Now, remember, mRNA technology has been deemed dangerous. It's been blocked. 22 studies and over $500 million. And just this week, they revoked the emergency use authorization because they say mRNA technology is dangerous. So let me know in the comments, and feel free to be funny or serious or I don't know, but why on earth did Dr. Fauci want these monkeys turned into transgender monkeys? Honestly, it makes no sense. It's a waste of taxpayer money. There's no reason that these grants should have been given. And yet, here we are. Here I am reporting on this story to you right now. So, wow, what a wacky thing. All right, there's some serious evil in the medical field. There's also technology that's being held back. And there's also a lot of miracle drugs out there. Now, the swamp and big pharma know a healthy population is a hard to control population. That's why the FDA wants to hand NMN, a natural supplement that powers your cells, fights aging, and supports weight loss, cholesterol balance, and blood pressure. Big pharma is trying to take that away. And there's a major lawsuit going on. But let me show you a top professor from Harvard Medical, David Sinclair, talking about NMN and NAD and the benefits of those. Let me go ahead and play this for you right now.
So let me take a quick step back.
Sure.
So about 20 years ago, Lenny Guarente and a team of us at MIT discovered a set of genes that controls aging in yeast cells, just brewer's yeast, what you find in beer and bread. And those genes are called sirtuins, and there are 7 of them in our bodies, 5 in yeast. And what they do is they protect all organisms on the planet, plants, bacteria, humans, from deterioration and disease. They're like the Pentagon. They sense when we're hungry, sense when we're exercising, and they send out the troops to defend us. So when you put more of these genes into a yeast cell or a mouse, they'll live longer, between 5 to 20% longer. And so we think that these genes are responsible for the effects of dieting and exercise, which is great. What that means is we can now mimic that with molecules. So NMN is one of those molecules. So is resveratrol.
Okay, so they find that this NMN is helpful in boosting your NAD. So NMN works so well that the FDA is trying to pull it from public shelves. On September 30th, so in about 30 days, courts will decide if this stays a supplement or if it gets reclassified as a drug under the control of big pharma. This isn't about safety, it's about profits. So I've been taking NMN. You can feel the effects of it. You can do your own research, and I recommend you do. But basically, it boosts your NAD+. This is a key area for vitality and also for longevity. Let me show you one more clip from this Harvard professor.
So sirtuins need NAD to work. Without them, they don't work. In fact, if you don't have NAD in your body, you'd be dead in about 30 seconds. It's a really important molecule. But as we get older, we lose NAD. So by the time you're 50, like I almost am, you have about half the levels of what you had when you were 20.
Okay, so NAD is absolutely necessary. If you didn't have it, you will die. But as we age, we have less and less in our body. What they're finding is that NMN is a precursor for rebuilding your NAD. So if you want to stay sharp as you age, have energy, battle cholesterol, heart disease, weight management, then you should definitely check out NMN. And I'm going to put a link down below. Black Forest, a sponsor of this channel, has an NMN product, and I've been telling you guys about them for over a year now. So for the next 48 hours, Black Forest Supplements is offering a buy one, get one free deal so that you can stock up. Again, the announcement of this lawsuit will be coming out in about the next 30 days. All right, Elon Musk just absolutely slammed the Democrat Party and the far left losers that are trying to destroy the United States of America. He points out that the left doesn't want to have babies. They don't support the nuclear family. They're all about trans ideology and LGBTQ stuff being stuffed in movies, TV shows, and down your throat. Well, he correctly points out, in order to survive, an ideology that fails to reproduce itself must necessarily infect the minds of the children of those who do reproduce. That's why they push so hard to control education. It is a vampire cult. So Elon Musk is warning the Republican Party, you guys believe in the nuclear family. You guys believe in traditional marriage. You guys are having babies at replacement rate. But what happens is these guys that believe in abortion, that believe in chemically castrating children, transing your children, chopping off their body parts, they're running out of children. So what do? They try to control yours. So the number one destroyer of Judeo-Christian beliefs is universities. And now they're going down into as low as elementary age children, where they're telling them it's okay to believe you're a boy if you're a girl, and it's okay to believe you're a girl if you're a boy. So he's saying if they don't have reproduction numbers, what do? Like a virus, they're infecting your children. They're doing it in schools. They're trying to destroy religion. They literally mock you every day. So that's a huge message from Elon Musk that I wanted to share with you guys. All right, listen to this. Every now and then, Democrats say the quiet part out loud. Well, that's exactly what Governor Gavin Newsom, who's preparing to run for president in 2028, just did. He literally admitted that one of his big worries about the National Guard and DHS and ICE snooping around in California is that President Trump will put them near voting centers. He says we can't have them near polling centers because then people won't show up to vote. He's literally admitting out loud that without illegal immigrants voting in elections in California, they can't win. Now, this is super messed up, but let me go ahead and share this with you, and then you guys can make your own decision on what you think about it.
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake. So we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
All right. So why would they be worried about ICE being near polling centers if it wasn't because they're afraid their illegal immigrant voters won't show up and vote for them? It's the only thing that makes sense. So you guys let me know in the comments, is that a bridge too far? All right. Democrats, they're struggling to raise money. They have terrible ideas, and they continue to sink in popularity because they care more about illegal immigrants than American citizens. They care more about trans pronouns than kids' safety. And they care more about criminals than keeping communities safe. Listen to an interaction between a Trump derangement syndrome podcaster on CNN and Scott Jennings, the only Republican that CNN allows on. You're going to be blown away. Listen to what she had to say.
Cops on January 6th. Meanwhile, this guy, this should be the lead story, is clearly suffering from massive mental decline. He is out of his mind with all of the show and tell procedures that go on in the Oval Office. 2 days ago, he gave 3 press conferences in a row. And if you don't think he has dementia, let's just discuss the time that when he was on the campaign trail, that he tried to perform oral sex on a microphone. If Joe Biden did this,
I hope this is what Democrats do next year. If this is the Democratic strategy, Congratulations, America. You've already reelected Republican majorities as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, because Trump's approval
Listen
is in
to-
the
listen
low
to this one.
30s. It's in
Listen
the
to
low
this
30s
one.
right
Listen to
now.
this one.
Coming up next from
All right. So this lady, I showed you guys a video of her last week saying, never eat at Mexican restaurants, never eat at Cuban restaurants. White people are a bunch of crackers. You can only eat at Cracker Barrel. Well, yeah, a bunch of people just rejected Cracker Barrel and they lost $100 million. So this same lady, she is now on here saying that President Trump has obviously lost his mind, that he's holding multiple press conferences a day. He's actually showing that he's working for the American people. He's actually answering questions from the press. He's allowing the press in as he negotiates the National Guard, tariffs, working with other countries, trying to bring war to an end. She says that's proof that he has dementia. She says that's proof that he is struggling with his health. This lady's crazy. And then she goes on to say, here's proof that he's crazy. He literally tried to have oral sex with a microphone while he was being elected for president last year. What is this lady talking about? And Scott Jennings, my man, I'm trying to get him on the show. He correctly points out, if this is the crap that you guys are going to go on TV and talk about, well, congratulations, America. You're about to keep a Republican majority. This lady is out of her mind crazy if she thinks that's the kind of talking points that Americans want to hear. What they want to hear is that they are going to be kept safe. All right, speaking of keeping you safe, over at the Pentagon, the Defense Secretary, U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, announced that the Pentagon learned that Microsoft Corporation was secretly employing people in China in order to keep America safe and our cloud system that the government rents safe. He said, no way, we're not doing that anymore. Let's go ahead and listen to what Pete Hegseth had to say.
Last month, the Department of Defense was made aware of an Obama-Biden-era legacy program called Digital Escorts. For nearly a decade, Microsoft has used Chinese coders, remotely supervised by U.S. contractors, to support sensitive DoD cloud systems. The program was designed to comply with contracting rules, but it exposed the department to unacceptable risk. I mean, if you're thinking America first and common sense, this doesn't pass either of those tests. So I initiated an immediate review of this vulnerability, and I want to report our initial findings. So the use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers. I'm also tasking the Department of Defense experts with a separate investigation of the digital escort program and the Chinese Microsoft employees that were involved in it. These investigations will help us determine the impact of this digital escort workaround. Did they put anything in the code that we didn't know about? We're going to find out. Additionally, all Department of Defense software vendors will identify and terminate any Chinese involvement in DoD systems. It blows my mind that I'm even saying these things. It's such common sense that we ever allowed it to happen. That's why we're attacking it so hard. We expect vendors doing business with the Department of Defense to put U.S. national security ahead of profit maximization. I'm committed, like the president is, to ensuring that our national security networks are secure. Again, it's America first, and it's common sense. This never should have happened in the first place, but once we found out about it, we've attacked it aggressively from the beginning, and we're going to follow all the way through the tape to make sure that this is addressed. So DoD is working in conjunction as well with our partners in the rest of the federal government to ensure that all U.S. networks are protected. God bless.
All right. This is a big deal. So Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar valuation company on the public stock exchange. One of the main reasons it's grown so big, it's been so popular, isn't because Bill Gates is a great guy. It's because they have been awarded hundreds of billions of dollars of contracts. Now we find out in order to service those contracts, they've been using people in China for American national security. I can't believe that this has gone on for as long as it did. So I'm grateful that they are getting to the bottom of that, because we need to keep America safe. We cannot have our number one enemy, China, controlling our national security, our security features. It just can't happen, right? So anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention and also let you know that President Trump and Pete Hegseth, they are correcting this immediately. And I believe it was journalist Laura Loomer who was the first one to expose this. So I want to give her credit on that. All right. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, allowing me to be a source of truth and news for you. If you could, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.